Hey everybody, welcome back. We're gonna do something a little bit different this time around. I figured we've done a lot of different, kind of more serious games, a lot of fast-paced stuff, and I figured let's do something a little bit different. So we are playing H.P. Lovecraft's Dagon. I found this in the Steam store a while back. And having just gotten into Lovecraft, I figured, yeah, why not? Let's take a crack at it and see what's going on. So I have already played this, just to kind of see what's what. I had a slight issue where it kept crashing at one point, but that seems to have resolved itself.
I am writing this under an appreciable mental strain, since by tonight I shall be no more.
Very cool graphics so far. Okay, Okay, so those are the different icons that we have to look for. That's fine. Oh, come on, really? Okay. So, I just want to have a quick look around. This is actually a free-to-play title in the Steam store.
Penniless, and at the end of my supply of the drug which alone makes life endurable, I can bear the torture no longer, and shall cast myself from this garret window into the squalid street below.
This is actually a really interesting story.
Do not think from my slavery to morphine that I am a weakling or a degenerate.
Yeah. Whoa.
When you have read these hastily scrawled pages, you may guess, though never fully realize, why it is that I must have forgetfulness or death.
Okay. Okay, so yeah, the camera is a little tricky to work with here. Okay, and we have our first bit of info. Was entered into use in the 19th century. Used as a painkiller during the Civil War and World War I. Okay. Also sold without restrictions until 1914. Good grief. Became more popular after the invention of the hypodermic syringe around 1854. Friedrich Serturner, who first isolated this substance, originally named it morphium after Morpheus, the Greek god associated with dreams. Okay, fair enough. At the time of Dagon's publishing, morphine abuse, known as soldier's disease, was already a big problem. Okay, fair enough. Cool. So these little bits and bobs are actually pretty interesting. Okay. Nah, that's alright. So, I just want to have a look-see. Come on, that's an inkwell. Is he writing with a quill? Yep, he's writing with a quill.
It was in one of the most open and least frequented parts of the broad Pacific that the packet of which I was supercargo fell a victim to the German sea raider.
Okay. I will say this. As Lovecraft's writing style is ow! This is a little louder than I thought it would be, so I hope the commentary comes through. But Lovecraft's writing style, especially with his first-person
The Great
stuff,
War was then at its very beginning, and the ocean forces of the Hun had
can
not
be a little bit
completely sunk to their later
tricky.
degradation. So that our vessel was made a legitimate prize, whilst we of her crew were treated with all the fairness and consideration due us as naval prisoners.
meaning they weren't treated badly, I suppose. Huns were Central Asian nomads, first established a dominion in Europe and invaded the Roman Empire in the 5th century AD. Brutal, deadly warriors, masters of quick raids who also developed powerful composite bows, lassos and early siege weapons. During World War I, the British used the word Hun as a synonym for Germans in order to emphasize their brutality. But the term originated when German Emperor Wilhelm II gave a speech to his troops on July 27th of 1900 before heading for China. Okay? Should you encounter the enemy, he will be defeated, no quarter shall be given, no prisoners will be taken. Okay, fair enough. Whoever falls into your hands is forfeited. Just as 1,000 years ago the Huns, under their king Attila, made a name for themselves, one that even today makes them seem mighty in history and legend. Okay? May the name German be affirmed by you in such a way in China that no Chinese will ever again dare to look cross-eyed at a German. Okay, that seems a little bit... I don't know, maybe it's just me, but that sounds like a really racist thing to say. The refusal to take prisoners was a clear breach of the laws and customs of war adopted during the First Hague Convention of 1899. See, I'm not really all that familiar with history. I used to be, like, super into it, but, yeah, I wasn't really, you know, I kind of grew out of that sort of thing, you know, because when I was a kid, I kind of went through a phase where I was reading pretty much every history book I could find. Okay, is there any more? No, okay. So, let's... Oh, come on. Ah, there we go. So yeah, I went through a second time when I was reading everything I could get my hands on different topics. And eventually I kind of just...
So liberal, indeed, was the discipline of our captors, that 5 days after we were taken, I managed to escape alone, in a small boat, with water and provisions for a good length of time.
Eventually I kind of just stopped reading them. I don't know why, because I mean I still quite enjoy history as a subject, but I'm not, like I said, I'm not all that familiar with...
When I finally found myself
stuff.
adrift and free, I had but little idea of my surroundings. Never a competent navigator, I could only guess vaguely by the sun and stars that I was somewhat south of the equator. Of the longitude, I knew nothing, and no island or coastline was in sight.
Yeah, so basically, you played yourself. You numpty. Why? You know, at this point, I don't think I'm even going to question it. You know, I mean, if you're a prisoner of war, then you want to escape.
The weather kept fair, and for uncounted days I drifted aimlessly beneath the scorching sun, waiting either for some passing ship or to be cast on the shores of some habitable land.
Well, you're going to regret that decision. Is there anything at all apart from that pack that's interactable? Apparently not. Okay. So I guess, I mean, if you're a prisoner of war, you don't really want to be a prisoner. Still seems kind of stupid to just...
But neither ship nor land appeared,
You know,
and I
just
began to despair
dive
in
in
my
head
solitude
first.
upon the heaving vastness of unbroken blue.
How poetic is that? That's actually, I will say, you know, for all the weirdness that Lovecraft has in his work, he really does have a way with words, even
The
if it
change
is a little
happened whilst I
long-winded.
slept. Its details I shall never know,
Okay.
for my slumber, though troubled and dream-infested, was continuous.
Ah. Oh, ugh. Yuck. Okay. I just want to grab a couple of screenshots of the game as well, because I want to do an article or like a game review about this for Vocal. You know, when I get the chance. Oh man, that is messed up. I gotta say, I mean, the
When
graphics
at last I awoke,
are...
it was to discover myself half sucked into a slimy expanse of hellish black mire, which extended about me in monotonous undulations as far as I could see.
The graphics and the aesthetics and the music, I mean, you can tell these guys put a lot of work into this.
And in which my boat lay grounded some distance away.
Okay, can I interact with anything? Doesn't seem to look, it doesn't look like it.
Though one might well imagine that my first sensation would be of wonder at so prodigious and unexpected a transformation of scenery, I was in reality more horrified than astonished. For there was in the air, and in the rotting soil, a sinister quality which chilled me to the very core.
It's funny, I actually considered doing an audio reading of Dagon and a couple of Lovecraft's short stories myself. You know, I might actually still do that just to see if I can. But I don't know.
The region was putrid with the carcasses of decaying fish, and of other, less describable things which I saw protruding from the nasty mud of the unending plain.
Yuck. I mean, yes, I've already played this once, but it's still gross to look at. I still get the
Perhaps I should
heebie-jeebies.
not hope to convey in mere words the unutterable hideousness that can dwell in absolute silence and barren immensity.
Something with that boat.
There was nothing within hearing, and nothing in sight, save a vast reach of black slime. Yet the very completeness of the stillness and the homogeneity of the landscape oppressed me with a nauseating fear.
man.
The sun was blazing down from a sky which seemed to me almost black in its cloudless cruelty, as though reflecting the inky marsh beneath my feet.
Ugh.
As I crawled into the stranded boat, I realized that only one theory could explain my position. Through some unprecedented volcanic upheaval, a portion of the ocean floor must have been thrown to the surface, exposing regions for which innumerable millions of years had lain hidden under unfathomable watery depths.
Yeah, this seems to be a common thing with Lovecraft. I know of a couple of stories that talk about underwater cities and things like that. I mean,
so great was the extent of the new land which had risen beneath me that I could not detect the faintest noise of the surging ocean, straining my ears as I might.
So Shadow over Innsmouth talks about Innsmouth talks about it. You know, the Deep Ones have their city. At the Mountains of Madness, they talks about you know, underwater cities and things like that. The Tomb, I think it's called, does the same thing. So it's not an uncommon thing, this idea that land, and Call of Cthulhu does the same thing, talking about land that has just come out of the ocean.
Nor were there any seafowl to prey upon the dead things.
Call of Cthulhu probably does it the most brazenly, with guys actually walking on the island. But yeah. Ugh. Gross.
For several hours I sat thinking or brooding in the boat, which lay upon its side and afforded a slight shade as the sun moved across the heavens.
Okay.
As the day progressed, the ground lost some of its stickiness and seemed likely to dry sufficiently for traveling purposes in a short time.
Why would you... Why don't you just stay where you are? You know? You stay where you are, and with any luck, someone will find you. That night I slept but little, and the next day I made for myself a pack containing food and water, preparatory to an overland journey in search of the vanished sea and possible rescue. Oh, come on. No, man. There. Got it.
On the third morning, I found the soil dry enough to walk upon with ease. The odor of the fish was maddening, but I was too much concerned with graver things to mind so slight an evil, and set out boldly for an unknown goal.
Yeah, you mean stupidly. I kind of wish this little dot was actually just a little bit bigger, and maybe a different color so that I could actually see it a little bit clearer.
All day I forged steadily westward, guided by a faraway hummock which rose higher than any other elevation on the rolling desert.
Yeah. Oh. I will never get used to that. Ugh. I mean, they look like those, like kind of like the bugs from Starship Troopers.
That night, I encamped, and on the following day still travelled toward the hummock, though that object seemed scarcely nearer than when I had first espied it.
Oh, come on. Unfortunately, you can't really change or reduce the mouse sensitivity or the touchpad sensitivity. So I basically I've done what I can to kind of sort that out. But
by the fourth evening, I attained the base of the mound, which turned out to be much higher than it had appeared from a distance.
Well, duh, you're standing right in front of it.
An intervening valley setting it out in sharper relief from the general surface. Too weary to ascend, I slept in the shadow of the hill.
I wouldn't.
I know not why my dreams were so wild that night. But ere the waning and fantastically gibbous moon had risen far above the eastern plain, I was awake in a cold perspiration, determined to sleep no more. Such visions as I had experienced were too much for me to endure again.
Okay, so this is one of the problems that I have with Lovecraft's work. And I actually have a review of one of his short stories coming up that I want to do. But you don't really get to see what's going on. You get this bit where, oh, it was too much for me to talk about, which kind of defeats the point.
And in the glow of the moon, I saw how unwise I had been to travel by day.
Yeah, no kidding.
Without the glare of the parching sun, my journey would have cost me less energy.
Somehow I doubt that. I mean, I suppose it kind of makes sense, but,
Indeed, I now felt quite able to perform the ascent which had deterred me at sunset. Picking up my pack, I started for the crest of the eminence.
okay. Come on, come on, come on.
I have said that the unbroken monotony of the rolling plain was a source of vague horror to me. But I think my horror was greater when I gained the summit of the mound and looked down the other side into an immeasurable pit or canyon. Whose black recesses the moon had not yet soared high enough to illumine. I felt myself on the edge of the world.
Yeah, somehow I don't blame
peering
you, dude.
over the rim into a fathomless chaos of eternal night.
That's a cool shot. But there's actually a
Through
cooler
my
one.
terror ran curious reminiscences of Paradise Lost.
Paradise Lost. Isn't that...
And of Satan's hideous climb through the unfashioned realms of darkness.
I'm thinking of...
As the moon climbed higher in the sky,
Dante's
I
Inferno.
began to see that the slopes of the valley were not quite so perpendicular as I had imagined.
Okay, now I have to maneuver this thing, that little white dot, into positions.
Ledges and outcroppings of rock afforded fairly easy footholds for a descent.
I don't think I would descend and climb down that end. I think I'd probably just go back to my boat, thank you.
Whilst after a drop of only a few hundred feet, the declivity became very gradual.
Oh, it's only a few hundred feet. It's not gonna hurt if I fall or anything. Really. I think, don't they consider anything that's 3 times your own height that it's a traumatic fall? So if he's falling or sliding down, say 100
Urged on
or
by an impulse which I cannot definitely
200
analyze,
feet or whatever.
I scrambled with difficulty down the rocks and stood on the gentler slope beneath.
Okay, so maybe... Oh, okay. So he didn't actually fall, he just kind of picked his way down. But still, I mean, that's not an easy thing to do.
Gazing into the Stygian deeps, where no light had yet penetrated. All at once, my attention was captured by a vast and singular object on the opposite slope, which rose steeply about 100 yards ahead of me.
This is kind of where I started to have an issue, and I'll get to that in a second.
An object that gleamed whitely in the newly bestowed rays of the ascending moon.
I love the narration on this. This is so cool. Hello? Hello? Ah, yes. You kind of have to get a little closer, otherwise you can't see anything, can you? Nutcase. Well, he's not a nutcase yet, I should say.
That it was merely a gigantic piece of stone, I soon assured myself.
That's a little more than just a piece of stone, dude.
But I was conscious of a distinct impression that its contour and position were not altogether the work of nature. A closer scrutiny filled me with sensations I cannot express.
Okay, now where's the interaction supposed to go? Ah, there it is. There it is. No, come on.
For despite its enormous magnitude
There we go.
and its position in an abyss which had yawned at the bottom of the sea since the world was young, I perceived beyond a doubt that the strange object was a well-shaped monolith, whose massive bulk had known the workmanship and perhaps the worship of living and thinking creatures. Dazed and frightened, yet not without a certain thrill of the scientist's or archaeologist's delight, I examined my surroundings more closely.
Okay, now I've got something to work with. What am I looking for? I don't want to click on that just yet, just in case there's something else. Okay, it doesn't look like it, so we're just gonna... Well, assuming that I can... Ah, there we go.
The moon, now near the zenith, shone weirdly and vividly above the towering steeps that hemmed in the chasm.
Okay, that's...
And revealed the fact that a far-flung body of water flowed at the bottom, winding out of sight in both directions and almost lapping my feet as I stood on the slope.
Winding out of sight, and I can see that it's kind of got an end. Unless you're looking straight in front of you past the monolith. Speaking of the monolith, let me grab a... I'm going to be grabbing a couple of screenshots of this monolith.
Across the chasm, the wavelets washed the base of the Cyclopean monolith, on whose surface I could now trace both inscriptions and crude sculptures.
Alright, so that's another element from At the Mountains of Madness. The two scientists actually wander around inside the city or whatever it is, and they look at sculptures and things like that. I'll have to do a video about that.
The writing was in a system of hieroglyphics unknown to me and unlike anything I'd ever seen in books.
I wonder where they actually got the idea
of conventionalized aquatic symbols such as fishes, eels, octopi, crustaceans, mollusks, whales, and the like. Several characters obviously represented marine things which are unknown to the modern world. But whose decomposing forms I had observed on the ocean-risen plain.
Okay.
It was the pictorial carving, however, that did most to hold me spellbound.
Hey, Cthulhu's right in the middle there. At least I think that's him. Wait, hold on. I didn't see that the first time when I played this before. But there was a piece of... Oh, come on, really? Oh, there we go. Themes and storytelling methods. Madness, the Nameless City. Okay, so this actually names a couple of the different stories that use this sort of method. That's really cool. Let's grab another screenshot real quick because
plainly visible across the intervening water on account of their enormous size were an array of bas-reliefs whose subjects would have excited the envy of a Doré.
Okay, so apparently it's not bas, it's ba or ba relief, not bas relief, with the S being silent, which I've never heard.
I think that these things were supposed to depict men, at least a certain sort of men. Though the creatures were shown disporting like fishes in the waters of some marine grotto.
Deep ones. That's what they were, deep ones.
Or paying homage at some monolithic shrine, which appeared to be under the waves as well. Of their faces and forms I dare not speak in detail.
Oh, come on.
For the mere remembrance makes me grow faint. Grotesque beyond the imagination of a Poe or a Bulwer.
I know who Poe is. I don't think I've ever heard of Bulwer. Ugh. Huh. I don't know. I've never seen those before.
They were damnably human in general outline, despite webbed hands and feet, shockingly wide and flabby lips.
It sounds like he's describing the people in Shadow over Innsmouth.
Glassy, bulging eyes, and other features less pleasant to recall. Curiously enough, they seem to have been chiseled badly out of proportion with their scenic background.
I don't see any scenery, I just see...
For one of the creatures was shown in the act of killing a whale, represented as but little larger than himself.
Oh, there we go. And I think this is right at the base of the monolith as well.
I remarked, as I say, their grotesqueness and strange size. But in a moment decided that they were merely the imaginary gods of some primitive fishing or seafaring tribe.
Yeah.
Some tribe whose last descendant had perished eras before the first ancestor of the Piltdown or Neanderthal man was born.
Okay. Let's see where this takes us.
Awestruck at this unexpected glimpse beyond the conceit of the most daring anthropologist.
Okay, now this is where I started to have issues, where this game would crash.
I stood musing whilst the moon cast queer reflections on the silent channel before me. Then, suddenly, I saw it.
So what?
With only a slight churning to mark its rise to the surface, the thing slid into view above the dark waters.
Oh, come on. I can't see the...
Like a stupendous monster of nightmares to the monolith.
Oh, I would not want that thing coming after me, thank you very much. Oh, come on now.
Flung its gigantic, scaly arm, the wild back of its hideous head, gave to measured sounds.
Okay. Guessing that's one of the things that's right in the middle of the monolith. Hello? Blur a little bit.
I think I went mad.
Alright. I don't know why. Oh, okay, there's the caption.
Of my frantic ascent of the slope and cliff, and of my delirious journey back to the stranded boat, I remember little.
don't know why I'm looking at a blank screen apart from that. Oh no, there we go. Okay, alright. No, it's not a problem. There we go. See? Now I told you not to friggin' make your way down there. But would you listen? No. You just had to go down. Haven't you ever heard the phrase curiosity killed the cat? Good grief.
I believe I sang a great deal and laughed oddly when I was unable to sing. When I came out of the shadows, I was in a San Francisco hospital. Brought thither by the captain of the American ship which had picked up my boat in mid-ocean. In my delirium, I had said much, but found that my words had been given scant attention.
Yeah, because you were treated like a loony. I'm looking for another piece of trivia because I'm actually really interested to know a little bit more. Surely there's something here.
Of any land upheaval in the Pacific, my rescuers knew nothing. Nor did I deem it necessary to insist upon a thing which I knew they could not believe.
Well, at least you had enough common sense for that.
Once I sought out a celebrated ethnologist and amused him with peculiar questions regarding the ancient Philistine legend of Dagon, the fish god.
Okay. Oh, there we go. There's another piece of interesting reading. Dagon was the main deity of the Philistines, worshipped throughout the Middle East as the ancient god of fertility and crops. Okay. Common noun for grain. The rulers of Akkad chose him as the patron saint of their conquests. Okay, judge of the dead in an Assyrian poem. Okay. And according to one of the Babylonian texts, he was an underworld prison warder, often mistakenly taken for a fish god due to the wrong interpretation of his name, as in Hebrew the word dag means fish. In Lovecraft's works, Dagon is an underwater deity ruling over the deep ones. Okay, so he does actually tie into Shadow over Innsmouth. That's cool. Humanoid race of fish with fish traits that resides in the oceans, worshipped by a secret cult called the Esoteric Order of Dagon. Yeah. Huh. So he is actually linked to that. That's cool. What else can we find? Sheesh. Oh man, this camera is ridiculous.
But soon perceiving that he was hopelessly conventional, I did not press my inquiries.
In other words, you realized he thought you were a loony, so you kept your mouth shut. August Derleth and the Cthulhu mythos. Okay. Writer and anthologist. A friend of Lovecraft's. Okay, so he kind of introduced a good versus evil thing to the whole Cthulhu setup, which was pretty much the exact opposite of Lovecraft's ideas of everything. Huh. Interesting. Oh, man, come on. This camera is ridiculous. Okay, what am I supposed to do? Oh, grief. I'll say this is a really swanky looking office. I can't believe it's been almost an hour.
It is at night, especially when the moon is gibbous and waning, that I see the thing. I tried morphine, but the drug has given only transient surcease and has drawn me into its clutches as a hopeless slave. So now I am to end it all, having written a full account for the information or the contemptuous amusement of my fellow men.
Lovecraft on tobacco and alcohol. Okay, so he hated tobacco. He smoked when he was 12. Good grief. In order to look and feel like an adult in his correspondence with friend Reinhard Kleiner, he claims that he quit as soon as he started wearing long pants. Okay, that's weird. He had a very strong opinion about alcohol as well, as evidenced in a letter to Celia Brown, dated in February 13th of 1928, As for the matter of drinking, I have never tasted intoxicating liquor and never intend to. Okay? Having a strong aesthetic disgust at anything which blunts or coarsens the delicate, natural equipoise of the evolved human intellect and imagination. Okay. Drinking excited my personal repugnance, hence I don't drink. Let the herd do what they will. I am rather in favor of prohibition, the prohibition of any one antisocial force as well as of any other. Good grief, I'm stumbling over my words here. Source is Spirit of Revision. Okay. Cool beats. So that's the book where that excerpt comes from. I'll have to see if I can find a copy. And now we come to I'm sure there must be something else. Okay, is it just me? Or are there symbols painted on the floors? I can see what looks like one there by the package. There's one under this piece of paper there. There's one under the inkwell, under the papers on the right, and under those two corks at the top there. Is it just me? Don't know what that is.
Often, I ask myself if it could not all have been a pure phantasm. A mere freak of fever as I lay sun-stricken and raving in the open boat after my escape from the German man-of-war. This I ask myself, but ever does there come before me a hideously vivid vision in reply.
Yep.
I cannot think of the deep sea without shuddering at the nameless things that may at this very moment be crawling and floundering on its slimy bed.
That's a pretty good shot to kind of demonstrate the size of the ocean.
Worshipping their ancient stone idols and carving their own detestable likenesses on submarine obelisks of water-soaked granite. I dream of a day when they may rise above the billows to drag down into their reeking talons the remnants of puny, war-exhausted mankind. Of a day when the land shall sink and the dark ocean shall ascend amidst universal pandemonium.
Okay, it said dark ocean floor, not dark ocean, but I kind of get the point. Now this is your kind of classic post-apocalyptic shot. You have all these little, what I'm guessing are battleships or something, and what I would assume to be New York in the distance. Oh, okay, so he's in New York at the time that he's telling this story, isn't he? Am I right? I think so. Hello.
The end is near.
Yeah. What was that? I'm not in. I'm on holiday. Go away. Come on.
I hear a noise at the door, as of some immense slippery body lumbering against it.
I'm not in. Ah. Oh, come on, man. Don't make me open that. Come on. Oh, come on. Oh, come on. How are you supposed to interact with...
It shall not find me.
Now...
God, that hand!
Can we move?
The window! The window!
Well... Wow, that's, grim. Ooh! Okay, wow. That was impressive. Ooh, excuse me. That was impressive. Okay, so let's go back to the main menu. You make it more of a third person type thing. But whether it's used as it's like a dramatic reading audiobook, and that really um, I, when I found I wasn't really expecting much. There's a free-to-play title, not all are good. I can handle all the chances. This is the first in a series of Lovecraft-related games that I want to play around with. I don't know what these bits are. Dagon, tobacco and alcohol. So there's... I don't know. I went looking for these other bits and I couldn't find them. That's irritating. Okay, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. I've got a couple of other Lovecraft games that I want to play. So I will definitely be doing some more Lovecraft stuff. If I can find more free-to-play Lovecraft stuff, that's definitely going on. I've got a couple of games. I've got one, Lust for Darkness, which I want to see if I can get that done sort of in a safe for YouTube way, because the last time I played it there was some, let's say, questionable content. But yeah, there's definitely much more Lovecraft stuff on the way in. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Let me know what you think about it. If you're likely to play it, if you're not likely to play it. Yeah. Thanks for watching. I'll see you for the next one.